Welcome in to the Lorain County Sports Network for a Saturday edition of Junior LC8 football here in Lorain County as we're coming to you live from Wellington High School. I am your play-by-play commentator, Max Strum. I'll be joined shortly by my partner on color commentary. That'll be Jared Viancourt. And we've also got Sam Sovacool running our stream, as well as Paul Williams on the camera as we're bringing you our first matchup of the day, featuring Brookside and Columbia, as the teams are now out for the coin toss, determining who will get the ball first here in what is a very cloudy day, as it is the first bad weather game potentially that we're looking at here for Junior LC8. I'll bring in my partner now, Jared, as we have a great matchup ahead of us between two teams that we are now pretty familiar with.
Yeah, Brookside and Columbia here today. We saw Brookside last week fall to Black River 16-8, and we haven't seen Columbia since week 4 when they defeated Wellington 13-7. So it should be an exciting matchup. Excited for this first game of our doubleheader here today.
As now we see on the field, the coin toss is complete. Columbia will receive, so they will start the game on offense. And it's an offense that we know is capable of a good amount of balance, but a lot like their high school team, loves to run the ball.
Yeah, they have Giovanni Cash, their star running back. They also have Caden Gibbs and Derek Friscone. So expect those three guys to get most of the carries here today for Columbia.
Well, and coming into this game, we're already in week 6 here. Now, in junior LCA football, that means this is the second to last season of regular season before the playoffs begin in the second week of October. And we've been able to come out to these different stadiums all season long, thanks to a lot of great partners and organizations. You'll see them in the top left corner of your screen throughout the game and when we step aside for commercial breaks. And those include Jamie's Carpet Shop. Shop smart. Shopping made simple as well with Jamie's Carpet Shop. We've also got Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. State 3-8, that's Semper Fi Plumbing. Uncommon service is a common virtue. Next up, Brian Baker for Commissioner on November 5th. Chris Kep of Slimans over in Amherst. Need a Jeep? Call Chris Kep at 440-420-0681. Zabo Apparel, who also gives us all of our apparel to wear out to games over on Liberty Avenue in Vermilion. Be game ready all year long with Zabo Apparel. And finally, Rich Resendez for Sheriff on November 5th. As now it looks like we will have Columbia coming to the line to begin this first game here in our doubleheader this afternoon. And we know they love this full house backfield. You never know who's going to end up with the football when they come out and plays like this. Giovanni Cash going in motion, but they're going to hand it to Friscone off the left side, and he's going to fight his way up for a couple yards there on first down.
Friscone had both those touchdowns back in week 4 against Wellington. Him and Giovanni Cash, 2 peas in a pod. Expect them to be the main carriers here today for Columbia.
And lining up at quarterback for the Raiders, who we don't see him use his arm too often, but that is Chase Anderson, as he orchestrates a lot of the motions and the misdirection that this offense likes to use.
We could also see his sibling, Luke Anderson, throw a little bit. We saw them back in week 4. And when they faced Keystone earlier this year, they like to use the flea flicker play a lot. So we could see that as well today from this Columbia offense.
That's right. It makes it very difficult to try and defend. And speaking of difficult to defend, here goes Cash around the left side. And that's going to be enough to move the chains, it appears, as he needed the 45, and the officials will give him the first down.
Brookside trying to bounce back after their loss last week to Black River, 16-8. Wearing the black jerseys today with the red pants. Something different for them this season that we've seen. We usually see them in their whites.
Well, and you bring up last week, and that's a game where obviously we know what they're capable of. After seeing them now 3 weeks in a row, they've got a pretty explosive offense. At times they made a couple too many mistakes, self-inflicted wounds there.
Yeah, penalties, drop passes, so they're looking to help their case here today against Columbia.
And they, of course, are starting on the defensive side of the ball with around 8 players in the box right now to try to shut down this running attack, and they will to an extent. Friscone fights ahead up to the 49.
And Columbia is doing great on this first drive right near midfield as junior LC8 9-minute quarters.
And that'll make it a 2nd and 7 here. And that's what's so interesting about these. Obviously, we on Friday night, you had a chance to see a game with a lot of running the ball last night, and obviously we see a lot of that here today. So it's always interesting to see how that plays out in time of possession. So now the Raiders will come to the line. A shadow behind the midfield mark, and now we'll see Anderson going in motion. They'll fake it to Friscone. Cash around the edge, trying to find the perimeter. He cuts it back, makes a couple guys miss, and get a modest gain there to set up 3rd down.
3rd and short for Columbia. Let's see what they do here. Trying to move the chains, continue this drive.
Well, they've had a lot of success with the misdirection on the handoffs there. As we talked about it before the game started, you never know who from that backfield is really going to end up with the ball at the end of the play. So now it looks like jogging into the huddle is Caden Gibbs to deliver the play to his quarterback, Chase Anderson, on a big 3rd down here on this opening drive of our first in our junior LC8 doubleheader.
And we should be clear of the rain, just a few drops here in Wellington, so it shouldn't affect the game too much here today.
And affecting the play that time, it's going to be one of the interior defensive linemen. Looks like Ethan Heckathorn blowing that play up on 3rd down. That's going to bring up 4th down now for Columbia, and it's decision time here early for the Raiders.
4th and 3. I think Columbia is going to go for it. They're not going to elect the 25-yard punt, especially already on the Brookside's 47-yard line.
That's one thing that has proven to be very impactful in these games this season is whoever gets that early lead, their chances of winning just increase dramatically, so they're trying to take advantage of that here. See Anderson in motion, fake it back the other way. He's going to be the lead blocker for Giovanni Cash, gets the 1st down, no problem, and then some, getting inside the 40-yard line of Brookside.
That was a great fake and motion play by the Columbia offense. Giovanni Cash run on that left side with a convoy of blockers and a big gain for the Raiders.
Well, and it's interesting, too. They went to the short side of the field that time, which didn't really impact much at all. And, might I add, running away from the very tall Caleb DeVito.
Had DeVito brothers, Caleb and Lucas, with their dad, Brian DeVito, as one of the assistant coaches, one of our color commentators for Friday Night Lights here for WOBL, WDLW, Lorain County Sports Network.
And we had a great opportunity to talk to him as well as head coach Jimmy Ott before the game, and they're just real excited that we're out here covering this great clash of two teams that have really been solid competitors here in this conference. That'll be a short gain on 1st down. So 2nd and long here to go for the Raiders. Now we'll see Columbia as they get the play delivered into the huddle. That's going to be Landon Klajun as he brings it in to Anderson, and we'll see if they try to go for one of those trick plays here. They haven't needed it so far on this drive, but a little bit further behind schedule than they're used to open this game so far.
I wouldn't be surprised, though. They used it a lot more in week 4 than in week 2.
Now instead of Anderson being a lead blocker, Cash will lead the way. He gets a nice pancake as Anderson will get up close to that 1st down.
And that's what's great about this Columbia run game is they can pick and choose who they want to run the ball. They do that with their high school, and they do that here in the junior LCA too. They have a lot of running weapons.
And you certainly have to be a willing blocker if you want your turn with the football, and that showed on that play as Cash. Great job looking like an offensive lineman the way he pancaked somebody. And it looks like they'll have marked him just short of the 1st down. So it's going to be 3rd and 1 here as Columbia trying to get on the same page here in the backfield. It's going to be Brendan Kinley entering the game for Friscone. They'll fake it to him. Cash goes around the left side. It's rinse and repeat with this running game right now as he will be brought down, but not after a Raiders 1st down.
And that was a great play by Columbia, faking it to Kinley, giving it to Cash on that left side, and leading blocker Landon Klunjun, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, with that lead block on that left side, setting up that big gain for Columbia.
And it now gets them right at the doorstep of the red zone, essentially there from the 20-yard line. And once again, this is still Columbia's first drive of the ball game, as they found a lot of ball control so far. Anderson will send Cash in motion. This time they'll hand it to Kinley. He gets tripped up right away, though. Could not escape the grasp of one of the Cardinal defenders.
I believe that was Jeremy Kelly on a nice trip tackle. And that's the first time we've seen Kinley here in the junior LC8. Haven't really seen him run the ball that much.
As he's been more of a lead blocker, obviously one of the bigger kids for the Raiders. They're getting a chance, and as you mentioned, just a good job at the line of scrimmage by the undersized Kelly. And now that'll bring up second down and 10 from the 20 once again.
Kinley, one of the captains for this Columbia Raiders junior LC8 squad, along with Derek Friscone, Caden Gibbs, and Luke Anderson.
Those are a lot of names you'll be hearing throughout the game here as ball carriers. And speaking of one of them, Luke Anderson now gets a chance with it. Tries to break away from a tackler, but he's going to be spun down. And that's going to be maybe to the 19.
And Luke Anderson, I'm not sure why he stopped there and tried to cut back inside. He had the green grass on that right side, space to run. Mistake there.
It looked like Jeffrey Beer, who is the quarterback on the other side, came up from his linebacker spot to make the nice tackle there. And now it's a less predictable situation for Columbia, unless they see this as 4-down territory. But you got to imagine they may go to the air here.
3rd and 9, I would think this is 4th down territory. They're already 1 for 1 on 4th down on this drive. So I believe this is a 2-down play.
So now we'll see Anderson split out as a receiver. And instead in the backfield will be Caden Gibbs. He gets the pitch, and he's immediately gets out of one tackler, and he just can't get away. There's too many Cardinals coming to the ball that time.
That was a great effort by Gibbs to break one tackle and keep fighting for that extra yardage for his squad. Unfortunately, like you said, Max, just too many Cardinals in the area.
That speaks to great pursuit, especially as the drive has gone on here. You would think they'd get more tired the more plays they're out there, but they've seemed to have gotten stronger now as their backs have gotten closer to their own end zone. 4th and 11 here for Columbia.
That was a loss of 2 for Gibbs, and it looks like Columbia is going to take a timeout.
So at first glance, they will want to think this over. And the chains are moving, so I believe we will have a quarter change, not working with a scoreboard today. So we are at the end of the first quarter here from Wellington High School. Columbia on a drive right now, but Brookside attempting to stand tall. When we come back, we'll find out who can come out on top of this drive here on the Lorain County Sports Network. And we're back here for the start of the second quarter between Columbia and Brookside here in week 6 of the junior LC8. Columbia took up the whole length of that first quarter as they're still in their opening drive right now. Facing a 4th and 11 though, so we'll see what they have in store here. Looks like they will go to the air. Friscone going to catch it out in the flats, breaks one tackle. Tries to get out of another. He will. Breaks through another. Couple spins away. And he's got one man to beat. Does another spin move. He's going to dive for the end zone. They'll give it to him. Touchdown Raiders.
And the first pass play by Columbia here today. 9-minute drive plus for the Raiders. And they get the job done. They get the 6 points. What a second effort by Friscone. And the Raiders are on the board.
I mean, he pulled out the do-it-yourself kit there. As it looked like that play had no chance. 2 guys met him in the backfield and somehow getting away. Now we'll see potential injury timeout or a stoppage in play as a Brookside player dropped before the point after attempt here. That will line up from the 3, so we'll step aside, and when we come back, we'll get this point after attempt here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back here as Columbia just took a 6-0 lead over Brookside to open this game here in the second quarter off of a 21-yard catch and run from Derek Friscone, the fullback for Columbia. This time they'll fake it to him, give it to Cash, who tries to go around the left edge. He may be in if he stayed on top of the Brookside defender. We'll see, and the officials will rule him down short of the goal line, so the score will remain 6-0 Columbia. But, man, what an opening drive and quarter, for that matter, by the Raiders, Jared.
We've seen it in past weeks in the LC8. The drives last long because they're running the ball and the quarters are shorter. So Brookside drive of the game, and they'll look to capitalize to even the score.
Well, what was so interesting to me is they never felt pressured or felt the need to have to throw it until they absolutely had to. They, at no point during that drive did they want to risk going to the air, and it paid off beautifully.
Yeah, they were cruising like they were driving down Route 66. I would hope they know what Route 66 is. I might be too old saying that, but
they should know of a certain Lightning McQueen that references to that. If not,
we'll educate them. We'll educate them. We'll show them what great Disney movies there was back in the 2000s.
Could not agree more with that. And now we'll see this Brookside offense come onto the field. And for Columbia, it is a perfect strategy to try to keep this offense out of a rhythm off the field because they've got a few playmakers of their own. Now coming to the line, we mentioned him on defense. Jeffrey Beer will bring the troops to the line as it looks like we'll have the offensive linemen. A couple of them switch spots here. And now they're set and ready to go. We're going to see him fake a handoff and then try to throw it back that way. He will get the pass off, and that's going to go to the 20 of Vincent Ott as he scampers his way up the sideline, and the official will mark him out. So he tried to cut back in, but still enough for a first down.
We saw that same play last week against Black River, and Vinny Ott took it to the house for 55 yards, and it worked to perfection again there for the Cardinals right there. Beer saw the pressure, got rid of the ball. Great playmaking on both sides.
Yeah, and that's the thing that stands out about this Cardinals offense. There's a lot of creativity that goes into it, and that's thanks in large part to Jeffrey Beer being a very savvy quarterback.
Yeah, he scrambles and out of nowhere, and he's got great weapons. We just saw Vinny Ott. We could see both the DeVito brothers and Devin Mass as well.
So now they'll come to the line, 1st and 10 here from their own 48, and they'll do a little play action. Beer rolling out left immediately, has to throw across his body, and that'll go just over the head of Lucas DeVito.
Yeah, he was throwing across his body there, not really what he wanted to do. Lucas DeVito wide open, just a tad too high.
And that would have been very close to another first down, not a Raider in sight of the DeVito wearing number 10, or excuse me, number 14. And now it brings up 2nd down and long here from close to midfield.
And we've seen Brookside's running back, Jordan Santos. We also see Jameer Wimbley a little bit and Devin Mass run the ball a little bit. But they like to even it up. They're not one-sided like the other junior LCA teams.
That's right. They've got a few guys that they can go to, and that's through the air or on the ground. Haven't seen them opt to go to the ground yet, and this time they will. Pitching it back to Ott. Makes the first couple Raiders miss, but he gets stacked up around the 42-yard line, 47-yard line. Check that in. Now it's going to be 3rd and long.
And it looked like initially Ott was going to throw the ball, but then he saw the pressure from the Raiders defense and ultimately just had to run the ball, and a loss for the Cardinals.
And probably a smart move there, as if you do want to be stuck in a spot where you have to throw it, let it be Jeffrey Beer. That guy, it feels like the play will never end when he's back there scrambling. So we'll see what they have in store now. Columbia was able to convert on some 3rd and longs and 4th and longs when they had the ball. We'll see if Brookside can return the favor here as we have, I believe, Max Sunyak motioning across the field last second here. Beer gets the snap. He'll roll right, immediately pressured, tries to get the ball off, but it will not be complete. But there is a penalty flag down. It looks like they're going to get Brookside for holding on this one.
And it came in last second, so it must have been a hold that just lingered on for too long. And that's going to push Brookside back even further. But it was an incomplete pass, so do you take the third long or just take the fourth down?
It's quite a predicament, but it looks like Columbia will decline it. So they'll now look at 4th and 11 here at the 47, and that's all the time I believe they'll need for that decision, as it will be a walkout punt from the looks of it. And we'll step aside as they flip the field here. When we come back, Columbia will get their second chance on offense here on the Lorain County Sports Network. We're back here in the second quarter as Columbia's offense will come back out onto the field holding a 6-0 lead over Brookside, who opted in favor of the 25-yard punt. Columbia will come to the line. Looks like they will keep Kinley in the backfield behind Anderson. Sends Cash in motion as he'll end up leading the way for Luke Anderson, trying to go around the right side. Makes a nice cutback, but he's immediately met that time by Ott, who brings him down after a short pickup.
And Columbia, their second possession, roughly about 6 minutes left in the second quarter. We don't have a working scoreboard right now, but if you're Columbia, you're still cruising. You already scored, and you can run the clock out and try to get another score before the half. Brookside up against the ropes right now.
That's right, and their defense had great success against Brookside on that first drive, and they know that the Cardinals are going to open the second half with the ball. So if you can, even if you just run out the half, you're not scoring any points, that puts Brookside in a real tough position, only having the ball once in the first half.
Controlling your own destiny.
They're trying to do exactly that here, as they'll give it up the middle to Kinley, who bounces it outside to the right, puts on a stiff arm or two as he gets along the sideline, and they'll say he stepped out, but not after another Columbia first down.
And we've noticed that with Columbia's running backs as well. We saw it from Riscone. We just saw it from Kinley. They love to use stiff arm. Their stiff arms work really well.
Well, and they certainly have a better wingspan than most of the kids out there, as we see Kinley and Cash do a little chest bump heading to the sideline. As Brookside opted to take the time out there, definitely a moment to gather the troops, as they really haven't had an answer so far. Jared, what do you see from the Cardinals' point of view that they got to fix here?
The Cardinals need to decide for a split-second decision who they're going to go for, because Columbia likes to motion. They like to fake one way, go another. They have to make a split decision of who they're going for and not second-guess themselves. I think if they do that here, they can stop Columbia and get a scoring drive of their own.
And certainly we'll see how much more aggressive they are here coming out of the timeout, as there's now 5 minutes to go here in this second quarter, as was updated by our captain of our crew, Sam Sovacool. And Columbia, more than content to take up as much of that as they can. Coming to the line now for 1st and 10 from their own 40. Chase Anderson under center motions a man, and they'll give it up the middle. Kinley, once again, it's kind of like a broken record as last play, almost the same result, just not as far downfield. They'll give him around 4 yards on that play.
And Columbia really likes to go to that right side. We've seen most of their rushes go to that right side. Really, they've only gone to the left on that 21-yard touchdown pass for Riscone. Other than that, they've really gone to the right side pretty much every time.
That's a great point, and they must be seeing something to exploit over there. Obviously, one of the big plays that Brookside was able to have to blow it up in the backfield was done by Ethan Heckathorn, who is lined up over their left tackle. So ever since that point, you're right, they have been trying to avoid him. So now they'll come back to the line, 2nd and 6, approaching midfield here at Wellington High School Stadium, as Wellington and Black River will be the second matchup here this afternoon at the conclusion of this game. Kinney will get it this time, but he's blown up in the backfield. Caleb DeVito looked like shot in there, and that play had no chance.
And we just talked about it. They went to the left side that time, and they got ramped up right by the line of scrimmage.
And that's the side where Heckathorn as well as DeVito over there holding it down, forcing a 3rd and long here. Last drive that Columbia was out there, they had no problem in this situation, still choosing to run. We'll see what they have in store here. Friscone is back in the game, so he will line up behind Chase Anderson now, spelling Kinley for a moment. Anderson goes in motion. He'll catch the pitch, trying to find the perimeter, but great job by that defense, and they're going to bring him up short of the line to gain.
And now it's decision time for head coach Tim Clark of the Columbia Raiders. Do you go for it on 4th and 5 at your own 45, or do you elect the 25-yard punt, knowing you got a 6-0 lead and short time left here in the second quarter?
And that's a decision they will think about here in a timeout, as the Raiders will call one. We'll take one with them. And when we come back, we'll see what this 4th down has for you here on the Lorain County Sports Network. And we're back here for a big 4th down play, as Columbia has opted to keep the offense on the field. So it's going to be 4th and 5, around halfway to go in the second quarter. Despite having the lead, they're not content. They're trying to get more here on offense, as we'll see them attempt to draw someone off sides, and it looks like it may have worked, as officials will call an encroachment on Brookside.
Brookside guilty of the hard count. And number 45, Xavier Guerin of the Columbia offensive line was like, here, ref, let's get the 1st down.
Let's move it along here. And now this offense will get to continue marching, as that's all they've done this first half, is find ways to move the ball down the field. Now this time, as we see a bevy of different guys running the plays in, this time Camden Wilson is delivering it to his quarterback. And so I like that move. I know in youth they have a few different ways of doing it, but I think that's an effective way. Get a couple different guys involved in the action as well.
Definitely get a workout in running back and forth at the sideline.
Certainly right. You got to
football / track.
Got to have that conditioning down. And now we'll see here on this play, 1st and 10, but Giovanni Cash going nowhere, as he had to try to get away from 2 different Cardinals before he even hit the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Cash bounced off of Ott's initial tackle, and then DeVito right there with the tackle. And going nowhere is Giovanni Cash, again running on that left side.
So we'll see if that continues to be a trend here, as despite having a good amount of success today, that's something the Columbia coaching staff will not like coming out of this game, no matter what the result is. So now they're set right at midfield. 2nd and, we'll call it 10, as they gave him maybe half a yard on that last play, and they'll come up to the line here, looking for a little bit more success than that last play. Now we'll see a straight drop back from Anderson. They'll go to Friscone this time over on the right side, breaks out of 1 tackle, uses his own man to try to propel him forward, and he's going to be close to that 1st down marker.
And I think that threw everyone off guard. We haven't really seen a drop back pass by Columbia today. And again, just a screen pass to Friscone, this time on the right side. They already did it on the left side for a touchdown. to Friscone, and now they go the other direction. They get the first down.
And it makes this third down a lot more manageable here as they will move into plus territory for 3rd and 1.
I misspoke. I thought they got the first down.
It was very close on that far side of the field. We now see they'll set up on the right hash. And we're getting closer to 2 minutes to go here in this second quarter of play as Columbia continues to just dominate the time of possession as Friscone continues to dominate, easily picking up the first down. And wait, we may have a loose ball. Some of the Brookside players reacting, but no motion from the officials.
And Vinny Ott recovered it, but there was no signal that Brookside retained possession, so it looks like Friscone was down by contact.
And the middle official there ruling that play dead, and now it'll be 1st and 10 from the 36-yard line here in this first game of our junior LC8 doubleheader. And now approaching under a minute and a half on a running clock here. Columbia still a bit of a ways from the end zone, though, so we'll see if they pick up the urgency. This time with some urgency, Caden Gibbs trying to get around that right side, and he's going to get brought down inbounds, it looks like, so the clock will continue to move.
And I think if you're Columbia, you're content with this 6-0 lead. You know you're not going to get the ball to start the second half, but you're going into halftime with the lead.
So with that in mind, they will elect for a timeout here and try to talk it over with their offense, who sets up at the 35-yard line. We'll take one with them. We'll be right back here on the Lorain County Sports Network. We're back here with just over a minute to go in the second quarter of this junior LC8 matchup between Columbia and Brookside. Columbia just used the timeout, and out of it, they will run it up the middle with, it looks like, Kinley that time. It gets a modest gain. So now that brings up around 3rd and 5, just outside the 30. And both of their passing attempts this half have been close to or right at the line of scrimmage. We'll see if they try to go for one of those trick plays that we've known very well from them.
Besides Keystone and Brookside themselves, I would say Columbia has the 3rd best passing game in the LC8. They just, I feel like they're too timid to do it at times. They have the passing game, they just got to go for it.
We'll see if they choose to do that here. As definitely agree with that statement. It looks like they're trying to set it up, though. Throw it, tipped at the line, and that'll fall incomplete, bringing up 4th down.
And there's that trick play, that flea flicker that we've seen in weeks past. And Luke Anderson tried to throw it deep downfield for the score to end this first half, but no prevail for the Brookside defense.
And so now that brings up a tricky situation. 4th and 6. And, I mean, they may still be looking for a score here, but it's going to be very hard to pull off as this Brookside defense has stepped up nicely here on this drive. Looks like they will go for it, though. They'll leave the offense out there. Anderson will send his brother in motion. He'll drop back, and instead of Friscone, it's Kinley catching this one. Trucks his way forward, trying to get up ahead, but I don't think he's going to get the line to gain.
Yeah, just up short. And Brookside will retain possession, but they don't have a lot of time on the clock.
Almost none to work with, and it looks like the officials will say that is the quarter. So that last play by Kinley ran out what was left of the second quarter clock, which means Columbia will go to halftime with a 6-0 lead over Brookside, who the Cardinals will get the ball to start the second half. So We'll step aside for a moment. When we come back, quick score recap and get you ready for the second half of play here from Wellington High School here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back as we are in halftime here on the Lorain County Sports Network for our first of our doubleheader this afternoon. As you can see on the scoreboard there, Columbia leading 6-0 over Brookside. And it came off of their first drive of the game that did not end until the second quarter, Jared.
Yeah, 21-yard touchdown pass to Derek Friscone from Chase Anderson. I've been really impressed with Columbia so far. Even though it's been 2 drives, they've gotten a lot of positive yardage in their run game and have really controlled this game so far up to this point. I'm really excited to see where Brookside can do in the second half with their second drive of the game.
Yeah, and it's amazing to say that it's only their second drive of the game here as we get ready to open up the third quarter pretty soon here. Before we get into that, let's get into some of our sponsors, some of our great partners that are the reason we're out here, the reason we're able to bring you the future of the Friday Night Lights here on YouTube. And to start off with, we've got Rich Resendez for Sheriff on November 5th, Zabo Apparel, located on Liberty Avenue in Vermilion. Be game ready all year long with Zabo Apparel. And if you need that new car, well, get a hold of Chris Kep of Slimans over in Amherst. Need a Jeep, call Chris Kep at 440-420-0681. Brian Baker for Commissioner, also on November 5th. Semper Fi Plumbing, uncommon service is a common virtue with Semper Fi Plumbing. Also on here, Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson reminding you to stay safe, Lorain County. And finally, Jamie's Carpet Shop, who has been on board with us since last season. And they've got locations in Elyria, Amherst, and even in Sandusky. So they cover a lot of the Lake Erie shore and area here inland. And they make shopping real simple. So go check them out. Jamie's Carpet Shop. Big thank you to all of them as we are moments away from getting the third quarter going here. And we talked about it there for a moment as Brookside will get to see the field on offense, and that really is a comfort zone for them. Jeffrey Beer, he's had a couple opportunities to create, but he hasn't been able to find that big explosive play yet. Who do you see that, because they have so many targets, Jared, who do you see them possibly going to here to open the third quarter?
They had a nice play with Vinny Ott to start out, and then they try to get the ball to Caleb and Lucas DeVito, but just overthrown too high, and pressure was coming from the Columbia Raiders defense. So I expect that to be Beer's main targets. We could see Jordan Santos as well and Devin Mass. So Beer has a lot of options. He has a lot of great targets. He's just got to find the green grass on the other side and get 6 points for his team.
Well, and I know coming out of that first half, they didn't get the chance to do as much as they would have liked with the limited amount of time of possession. But they certainly need to get him a little bit more time back there as well, and that could end up leading to leaving an extra either running back or maybe one of those wing backs in to help block what's been a very aggressive Columbia front. So now Brookside will come to the line here. Columbia opposing them as we get the third quarter underway. We'll start out with Beer in the backfield as looks like he's got Nicholas DeRuyter next to him. Two receivers split out left and another wing option to the right. They'll send it across to Jordan Santos, who's in motion, somehow gets out of that mess, gets upfield, and a nice play to kickstart the opening of this second half.
And we talked about it, one of Beer's main targets. That's Santos' first carry of the game, and it was a beauty. And I think they're going to mark him just short of the first down.
That they will, as it's going to come all the way up to the 43.5, right on the edge of the 44-yard line there. And now we'll see them huddle up here, and it's going to be interesting to see how much of that misdirection they use. Obviously, Columbia, that's what their whole offense is predicated on, but the motions here in the second half, that can really throw a defense through a loop, so we'll see how much more of that Brookside's got in store. This time, drop back for Beer. He's going to bail out immediately, rolling to the right, being chased. He'll get upfield and make at least one man miss before being tackled across the 50.
And it looks like it's going to come back, flag on the play. Looks like there's going to be a hold on Brookside.
And so in that first half, not too penalized was Brookside. But then again, that was because more pressure was getting home. And right there, it's more the same. And as you alluded to, Jared, the penalty on top of it. So what started out as a 2nd and 2 is going to turn into a 2nd and even longer than their original first down play.
And it's like that run by Santos is taken away essentially. And now you're pinned back deep on the 34-yard line.
So we'll come back to the line, spreading out this Columbia defense, who still managing to have close to 6 guys, maybe 7 in the box. So we'll see if Brookside can take advantage downfield. Low snap, he corrals it. He has to roll out right. Another flag immediately, and this pass is jumped in front of. Did he catch that? What a play by Brendan Kinley, as it looks like he's going to turn Brookside over.
That's the first turnover of the game, and just not a smart play by Beer. When you know there's a holding penalty, ultimately just throw it out of bounds or take the sack, honestly, because either way you're going to get jumped back to at least 10 yards, and just not a good decision by Beer, and a great opportunity for Columbia now for their first drive of the second half.
Man, and this Columbia offense has had no issues, and Kinley being one of those options as a ball carrier, but right there showing off his great ability on defense, as he was one of those 7 guys borderline in the box. So the fact that he got out there along to the sideline, I mean, just an incredible play by the young Raider.
And the Raiders are going to start at the 30 or 39-yard line, so only have 39 yards to go.
Well, in a game where it hasn't really affected them and it's played to their advantage, taking up all this time, this will easily be the best field position that they've had to start a drive here in this game. And now as we're just a few minutes into this third quarter, I mean, we're going to see how that plays into the hands of Columbia and how long they can kind of absorb the time of possession here.
And if you're Columbia, even though you're not going the full distance, again, you're controlling your own destiny. They can just run out this clock because Brookside, time is not on their side, down by a score.
So for Scone, will start off this drive, and he stood up immediately, being brought down after a short pickup, as we are at just under 8 minutes to go here on a running clock in the third quarter. And just beyond the scoreboard, we see Wellington warming up, and on the far side of the field, you may catch in the background Black River also warming up, getting ready for that matchup, which will begin in a separate stream video than this one. So at the conclusion of this game, we will wrap it up and end it, and then come back with a second video that features Black River and Wellington here in our doubleheader this afternoon. Back in this game, we have got Columbia throwing a pitch back to Giovanni Cash as he tries to get around the edge, but he's got nowhere to go, losing a couple yards.
And Brookside read that this time, and a great stop on defense for them.
It looked like Heckathorn, once again, we've said his name a couple times now, as he has done a pretty good job when they've run his way. So now we've got Columbia facing a 3rd down and long here. Coming to the line. And no matter the situation, they don't deviate from this formation. They're very comfortable there. And it's going to be a misdirection for Scone. Fake it to him. But Cash trying to get away, won't get too far, and it's going to bring up 4th down now.
And if you're Columbia, I think you got to go for it here. You're at the 34-yard line. You're up 6-0. No sense in electing the 25-yard punt.
Right, and they got to keep the foot on the gas here. Try to take advantage of a rare mistake by Jeffrey Beer, as he's not going to give you the ball that often. It's very rare, so we'll see if they can take advantage of that here as we are close to the halfway point of the third quarter.
And this is a huge play for the Brookside Cardinals. Got to get the stop here.
We've seen them bend but don't break once at the end of the first half. We'll see if they can do it again. Straight drop back. And we're going to see once again for Scone be the target of a pass, but just out of his reach. And there were a lot of Cardinals in the area, even if he did catch it.
Yeah, Chase Anderson just overthrew that. Too far left for Scone. It's a turnover on downs. And Brookside will look to take advantage and march down the field to get a score of their own.
Well, and it's interesting each time that they run that play. The last couple, they've had me convinced that they were going to look downfield and try to air it out. But they've just tried to keep quarterback Chase Anderson in his comfort zone, and just didn't pay off that time. Now Brookside will effectively restart the beginning of this second half as they got the ball to open the third quarter right around this spot at their own 35, and they're 4 yards further. So a net positive in a way, and we'll see if Jeffrey Beer can shake off that interception on the previous drive.
And I feel with your Brookside here, you don't have to score in the third quarter. Take your time. You got the third and part of the fourth quarter to go here to get a score.
Could not agree more. And now we'll have Brookside pitching it to Ott. Cuts it up immediately, cuts back across the formation, makes a couple Raiders miss, and he's got an opening. He's running down the sideline. Raiders trying to get a hand on him. They won't. He's at the 20, 10, 5, and touchdown in a flash. Vinny Ott. Now tie the game up at 6 apiece here in the third quarter.
That was a great run by Vinny Ott. He went to that left side, saw that there was an opening on the right side, and just went down all the way down the sideline for the score. That's exactly what the Cardinals needed.
And it was a Brookside offense that had just found themselves stalling, but when you really break it down, it's only their third chance with the ball here, so they finally found a little bit of rhythm there on their third drive of the game. And now they'll set up from the 3-yard line trying to take their first lead of the afternoon.
A big play in this game. Columbia needs a stop here to keep it tied. We have seen it in the past. We saw it back in week 1 when Black River and Wellington faced each other. They tied 6-6. And they'll be facing each other again in our doubleheader here shortly. So there are ties in the LC8. So that could happen here if Brookside's not able to score and no one else can score for the rest of the game.
And we know those players, they don't want that. They want this win, especially as we get closer to playoff time in a couple weeks. Beers drops back. He's going to have to roll out from pressure immediately. Has a couple options. He's looking. He finds a man in the end zone. Looks like that's going to be Caleb DeVito on the receiving end, but a flag in the backfield and a flag at the end of the play there.
And it looks like it's going to be an ineligible man downfield. So it's not going to count for Brookside.
And that can tend to happen at any level when the play continues to break down like that. The longer it goes, it's a lot harder for those linemen to stay in place. And now, so if I do know the rules correctly, it'll still be a one-point attempt, but now it's going to be from beyond the 5.
Yeah, it looks like this one-point attempt is going to be set at the 8-yard line. So this is the longest one-point extra point I've seen in a long time.
I think you're right. I don't know if we've had to see a team deal with this yet here in this season that we're in our 6th week of now. We'll see. Maybe being a little bit further away from the goal line, from the end zone, will help open up this passing game. But Columbia's provided good pressure so far. We'll see what they have in store for Jeffrey Beer. Drops back. He's going to roll the other way now. He's looking for a man. Pump fakes. Gets around one. Has to try to outrun another. He's still on his feet. Lets it go, and he's going to get it. What a play by Jeffrey Beer to Jordan Santos to take the lead.
And Beer able to run wild in the backfield on that left side, avoiding all the Raiders defenders, dodging and weaving his way through to get the extra point. And what great effort by the quarterback.
I mean, and he left a couple guys down in the dust on the field. I mean, also a heads-up play by all those receivers down the field that time, just keeping the play alive. And the offensive line learning from the previous play, not drifting too far downfield and just staying behind the line.
And now with the lead.
So an all-around momentum boost for Brookside, and now for Columbia, a game that really just felt like they would have to run the clock out on. They find themselves trailing 7-6, and they've got to find a way to get down the field here on offense. And still, with their identity, it doesn't have to change all too much with us still being in the third quarter here, but definitely probably a little bit more urgency is going to be needed.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to run the ball as much as they would like. Still the third quarter, still have time left in this game, but.
So now for Scone, who has been a reliable swordsman, running up the middle, gets it again here, and he's only going to pick up a couple, though. It looks like that Brookside defense got a little more juice, a little more wind in their sails now.
And Chase Anderson, he's only thrown it to Friscone today, so you would like to see him to utilize his other targets like Caden Gibbs, Luke Anderson, and even Giovanni Cash. Even though he's a running back, he's a receiver as well. So we'd like to see him use his options besides just for Scone.
And they certainly wouldn't mind getting in the hands of those guys any way possible, not just on the handoff. Giovanni Cash, one of the best in the junior LCA at making things happen after the catch, after getting the handoff. So we'll see if they can incorporate any of them here. This time, Cash will be a lead blocker for Luke Anderson, trying to find a path. He's going to cut it up behind some blockers, and maybe they'll give him around 4 or 5.
And he's going to be marked just short. 3rd and 2 looks like it's going to come up for Columbia. And we'll see what they do here as time is winding down in the 3rd quarter.
Just over 3 minutes to go on a running clock. If you're just joining us, Columbia used their first drive of the game as they got the ball first to open it in the 1st quarter and marched all the way down the field, not scoring until the open of the 2nd quarter. So now this is the first time their offense will be called upon to regain a lead. And it won't happen on this play as that's blown dead because of a false start penalty. And the Columbia coaches making sure they re-huddle here, regroup before this now 3rd and long. So now it becomes a much tougher decision on what play you want to call. I mean, 3rd and 2 fits right into their wheelhouse. 3rd and 8, especially with the pressure mounting, becomes a lot more difficult of a situation.
And you gotta think this is a 2-play drive here, even though they're pinned back.
We'll see if they treat it that way here on 3rd down and long, as Giovanni Cash will get it around the left side, shooting upfield immediately, just getting what he can as he gets around 3 yards away from the 1st down line.
And if you're Columbia, you gotta go for it. You're down now 7-6. Short time left in this 3rd quarter, but we know how fast that clock runs in the junior LC8. So if you're Columbia, you gotta go for it.
Certainly, and now Brookside showing some life on offense as well. You can't risk giving it back to them because the 25-yard punt here would put it back to around where Brookside started that last drive. And, I mean, this Columbia team, they need a shot in the arm right now. We'll see if they can get it. They'll approach the line of scrimmage at around the 42, 4th and 3 officially. Anderson pausing his motion, and then they'll run it his side. Giovanni Cash rumbling through the line, and he's going to get the 1st down.
And if you're Columbia, we've seen them run the ball a lot here today. As the 3rd quarter is winding down, just 1:20 left in the 3rd quarter. You got 9 minutes left in the 4th quarter. If you're Columbia, you kind of want to run out the clock and score and then put Brookside up against the ropes with short time. I think that's going to be the strategy for head coach Tim Clark.
It would definitely be ideal, and we know they're capable of doing it as well. As we saw them 2 weeks ago going up against Wellington, and they took home a 13-7 win, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind the same final score in this game as they are down 7-6. So now operating with a new set of downs here. It's going to be Kinley off the left side. We've seen him have some success, and he'll get across midfield all the way up to the opposing 40-yard line inside the 40.
What a great run by Kinley, moving the chains for his team, going now into enemy territory.
Well, I think they've done a great job of splitting the carries up between him and Friscone, as neither...
And Cash.
That's right, as neither can really get tired at this point. Deep into the game now, as we're just 30 seconds away from the final quarter. And now for Brookside, you flip it over and think about their perspective. They were able to get some key stop last time out, but right now Columbia having their way once again. Cash will get it. They'll keep attacking that left side. He makes a couple cuts. Brought down that time, though. It's going to be Meyer Wimbley, the big fella, getting a hold of him, but not after a nice pickup. And the officials will call it theirs. We'll flip field, and when we come back, we'll get the start of the 4th quarter. Columbia currently trailing 7-6, but they're moving it here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome into the fourth quarter of our first of a doubleheader here this afternoon on YouTube with the Lorain County Sports Network. Columbia, before the break, is in the middle of driving into Brookside territory. They'll now pick it up from the 32-yard line in Cardinals territory, trailing 7-6. Derek Friscone shooting out of his stance, getting up to that 30-yard line. He'll be close, but they'll mark him just short of the line to gain.
And now in enemy territory in the fourth quarter, like we've been saying, Columbia is probably just going to run out this clock, try to score, and leave short time on the clock for Brookside. And we'll see what Brookside's defense can do here. They can make a stand.
Well, and it's an interesting spot now as 3rd and 1, and a couple of the bigger bodies for Brookside not on the field at the moment, so we'll see if a couple of these other guys can step up. Columbia will have Cash in a half motion. Fake it to Friscone. They'll go around to Luke Anderson, who somehow breaks out of a tackle. May have even been a horse collar. We'll see what the officials call, but man, what a pickup there to move the chains.
And in fact, a face mask. So that's an extra 15 yards for Columbia, and they will happily take it.
And after that face mask, Luke Anderson, who I don't know how he got away. It looked like he was going to be piled on there, but he was able to pick up a couple yards.
He went to that right side because Giovanni Cash was leading that block, and then when Cash missed the block, that's where he cut back inside and was able to get that first down and some extra yardage with the face mask.
So now that'll set them up right outside the red zone at the 21. Here and entering the game for Anderson will be Caden Gibbs, as well as Kinley in the backfield for Friscone. They'll give it to him. He goes around his favorite side of the field over to the left, breaks out of a couple tackles, and he's pushed out near the 10.
Great run there by Kinley. I think they're going to mark him they're going to move the chains. They're going to give him the first down.
Well, they're in an interesting spot. They're right outside the 10, so they could technically get the first down here before scoring, as it looks like they'll set up at the 11.
And that'll be great for Columbia because they, as we've been saying, want to try to chew time off this clock. 7:30 left to play. Doesn't give a lot of time left for Brookside.
It would not, and this Columbia fan base knows it as they're getting a little bit more vocal here and cheering on their Raiders in the stands. Cash gets it. Shuffles ahead to maybe the 9. He'll definitely be inside the 10-yard line now.
And that was a great job by Cash to hold on to that football. Caleb DeVito tried to strip that from him. And good job of Cash holding on to that football, not forcing a turnover.
Well, DeVito doing that while having a blocker in his grill, so somehow managing to shut that play down. And bringing up 2nd and 8 here from a Cardinals defense that is in major need of a stop right now. Under 7 minutes to go here in the final quarter. Handoff up the middle. It's Friscone this time, and he'll be chopped down close to the 5. They'll maybe give him around 2. So yet another 3rd down coming up.
Yeah, 3rd down and 5. They got to get to the 1 for the first down. And you got to think this is two-play territory. So I would expect Columbia to run it again. We've only seen them pass it a few times here today. 2 screen passes to Friscone, but you never know.
And now we'll have the play delivered in by a couple of junior Raiders as we reach, as you mentioned, a 3rd and around 5. And if you're that Brookside defense, the left side over there, you know Caleb DeVito is just asking for a chance to go make a play. A couple of those other guys certainly feeling that as well. They don't want to have a tendency begin to develop over there. And we saw a hard count earlier in the game. We get it again. And Columbia will take that and more as they pick up a first down and goal now.
And you could see the reaction from Caleb DeVito. It was him and a few other Cardinals that jumped on that hard count. And as we mentioned, Caleb DeVito on that left side, and that's why Columbia has gone to the right on their runs here today, because they're trying to avoid Caleb DeVito, and they've also had a lot more success on the right side in general today than the left side with their run game.
So I misspoke. It turns out that's going to be half the distance to the goal line here, and it won't be enough for a first down technically. So My mistake. At the 6, I figured they'd have the 5 yards for the first and goal from the 1, but instead it'll now be 3rd and 2, still trying to get the first down here.
And it moves them at least a little bit closer, but still a big play here in this game.
It does, as you mentioned, it does leave the Cardinals a chance now to step up in a crucial spot. Anderson motions. Anderson for Scone, trying to plunge his way forward up the middle. It's going to be close. Players unsure as there's a pile to uncover right now. Looks like he'll be marked short of the goal line, but enough for the first down.
How about that? You ever seen a first down and goal at the 1?
I've never heard fans cheer about not getting a touchdown that close in, as we do have a Cardinal down. So we'll step aside, and when we come back, we will give you first and goal from the 1 for the Raiders here on the Lorain County Sports Network. And that is the sound of the Columbia faithful cheering on the Raiders here. First and goal from the 1. Friscone falls into the end zone, and he will regain the lead for the Raiders here in the 4th quarter of play with just over 5 minutes to go.
Friscone with the 1-yard touchdown run, his 2nd of the day. And Columbia retakes the lead with a pivotal point in this game, just 5:06 remaining in the 4th quarter.
Well, and now it is a interesting decision here, as there's pros and cons to whatever you want to do here, but they're going to set up for the 1-point try from the 3. So this will at least make it a 6-point game, a 1-possession game, if they are able to convert. And instead of Friscone, they'll give it around the edge. Anderson trying to fight his way through, and they're going to give it to him, so that'll be good for 1 extra point on the board, and it makes it a 13-7 game.
And that's huge for the Columbia Raiders, exactly what they needed to, at least if Brookside comes back, to tie it with a touchdown. They at least had that extra point. So big drive by the Raiders. Now they got to stand tall on defense.
Yeah, and their offense hasn't, since that first drive, been as productive or been able to finish off drives the way they would like, but they come through when it matters most. And with 5:06 to go in the final quarter of play, we'll see what Brookside can do to respond. Last time they were out on the field, they wasted no time with a huge Vincent Ott touchdown run from the other side of midfield.
And that's who they're going to have to keep an eye on. Besides Beer, they're going to have to keep an eye out on Ott, and they're going to have to keep an eye out on both the DeVito brothers.
That's what's made this performance so impressive from Columbia, as they've really shut down the first 2 drives, no issues at all, including forcing a turnover. So now the Raiders and Cardinals enter the field of play. Jeffrey Beer in the shotgun. He's effectively got 5 wide at the moment. Vincent Ott, they'll fake it to him, and then they'll go right back to him off of the fake. He makes 1-man miss, too. And Giovanni Cash will not let him get away from a 3rd tackler. But that's not the first time we've seen them call that play, and this time it worked out a little better than the first one.
And Ott is just doing a great job of defending tackles. He gets so much yards after catch, yards after breaking off tackles, really getting that extra yards that Brookside needs, especially with short time left.
And I know in a couple of old Madden games they called that to yak them up, as the yards after the catch are coming in plentiful condition here. So that'll bring up 2nd and 5 now from their own 40, as we're under 4.5 minutes to go here in the 4th. Now Beer will have a man do his left. Gets the snap back, and he's able to set up for a moment, but then has to scramble away to the left. He's got a couple of receivers calling for it as they're stacked up on top of each other, and he'll put it past everybody, letting it fall incomplete.
Friscone with the initial pressure, and then John Harris number 4, the Columbia Raiders, pushing Beer to that sideline, forcing that incompletion. Big pressure, big stop by the Columbia defense.
Well, it looked like Nehemia Neely down the field trying to get open for his quarterback, but you mentioned it. The pressure has been pretty consistent all day here as he's found himself rolling to either side more often than being able to throw from the pocket itself. Now, the one advantage for Brookside there is it almost appears that Beer's more comfortable doing that, but we'll see if it continues to cause problems for their passing game. Gets the snap back. He'll immediately look left side, and he won't differ from that, and he finds a man down the field right into the arms of, I believe, Jordan Santos, who's going to go all the way for a 50-yard touchdown catch and run, and they'll retake the lead. Or, excuse me, they'll tie it up. They'll tie the game up.
And I believe that was Jeremy Kelly on that reception.
So now that'll make it a 13-all score here in the fourth, as that will be the 35, it looks like, of Santos. So either way, the Cardinals will take the lead, and they'll set up now. We'll see if they choose to go for 1 or 2 here. You would imagine they'd go for 1, obviously being a couple yards closer would favor them immensely.
And that play worked to perfection for the Cardinals because not only did they have Kelly or Santos open, but they had someone right next to him that was also open as well. They had 2 receivers in the same spot that were both open, so that play would work to perfection for the Cardinals.
Man, Columbia, nobody behind them either, no safety deep. So now approaching the 3-yard line, they'll go for 1. No shocker there. They fake the handoff, give it back to Odd. This is their patented play. He's going to go for the pylon, and he'll finish that off for the conversion, as that's going to be Jeremy Kelly finishing off and giving them the lead here in the final quarter of play.
What an exciting fourth quarter we have here in game number 1 of this doubleheader for the junior LC8. Back and forth these teams go, both with a score, and now Columbia with 3:52 left is going to have to try to come back and retake the lead once again.
And we'll see if they're capable of that here on this next drive. We'll step away for a moment. When we come back, we will bring you the exciting conclusion of this first junior LC8 matchup here on the Lorain County Sports Network. We're back in a energized, a charged up Wellington High School Stadium here as Brookside has just taken a 1-point lead in the fourth with just under 4 minutes to go in the ball game. Columbia will now try to answer. They're going to give it off to Kinley, trying to bounce it out this time, but he won't go anywhere. Devin Mass with the tackle.
Big stop there by Mass, and just what Brookside needs to withstand this Columbia offense.
Well, and for Brendan Kinley, I believe that's the first negative play, or just play that's really gone almost nowhere for them here to open a drive or just in the game in general, as he's had such success bouncing the plays outside.
Yeah, they've had big plays, especially on that right side, and the Cardinals defense read that one. And they're going to have to continue to do that. They want to win this tight back and forth game.
So now it is 2nd down and 9. They'll fake it to him this time, give it around to Anderson. Goes along the right side, but he's brought down from behind, and it's going to bring up 3rd and long now.
And I believe that was Jeremy Kelly once again, as Anderson is slow to get up.
So now we will take a moment to step aside as they tend to him. And when we come back, we'll bring you 3rd down and long for Columbia here on the Lorain County Sports Network. here on a running clock in the fourth quarter. 3rd and long now for the Raiders after the injury timeout. Down by 1. We're going to see a drop back pass from Anderson and throw it over to the right side. That's going to be Kinley, so that's basically the exclusive passing play we've seen from Columbia, but it did not get enough for the first down.
And brings up 4th down and 5. This is the biggest play of the game so far up to this point. If Cardinals can withstand this, they'll be able to ride off into the sunset.
That's right, as 2:18 to go on a running clock. The Brookside coaches and sideline doing everything they can to get their fans going here.
After that injury timeout, no Luke Anderson. He's on the sideline. And Columbia is going to take a timeout and discuss this.
It is certainly a crucial point in the game, so a well-spent timeout, and we'll take one with them when we come back. You'll get to see 4th down and 5 here on their own side of the field from Columbia on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back here on the Lorain County Sports Network as Columbia down by a point, trying to make a big play happen here with 2:09 to go in the game, coming off a timeout. They're going to give it around the right side, and that's going to be Caden Gibbs trying to get away, but he will not. He's tackled just short of the line to gain, and that'll give the ball back to Brookside.
And what a pivotal stop and point by Brookside in this game. With 2:03 left to play with a 14-13 lead, they can simply just run out the clock now.
And, what an evolution across this game by the Cardinals. As we saw, they couldn't get a stop to save the drive, to open the game, as they allowed Columbia to drive down and score after a full 9.5 minutes. And as the game has gone on, they've just seemed to get stronger and stronger.
And they were down 6-0 at half. They scored all 14 points here in the second half. Their offense really came alive here in the second half.
And that just speaks to the mental toughness, overcoming some adversity, and never feeling like they were out of the game. So now, bobbled exchange there, but they get it cleanly in the end. And going around the right side, that's going to be their playmaker, Santos, as he gets up inside the 25. Tackled out of bounds, so the clock will stop. But a huge pickup on first down for the Cardinals.
Exactly what they needed.
Now they may almost be in the territory of a couple kneel downs. We'll see how they choose to attack here.
We do know Columbia took one timeout already in this half. We don't know if they have 2 remaining or less than 2. So it might just be a matter of running the ball until Columbia runs out of timeouts.
And that's something that really Brookside this half, you talked about. Their offense has done a great job scoring all 14 here in the 3rd and 4th quarter. So certainly would not be a problem with them. They'll come to the line, 1st down and 10 yards to go from the 24-yard line. Bear will pitch it back this time, and they're going to try around that right edge, getting knocked out of bounds there. It looks like it's going to be the 19 of Nehemia Neely. Once again, that'll stop the clock. So interesting that a lot of these runs right now are going towards the perimeter.
Yeah, you'd think you would want to stay in bounds to run out the clock, but I think the Cardinals offense just wants to get as many yards as possible.
And so the officials, looks like after a initial stoppage, they are setting up Brookside offense, and we'll have a timeout. So they were going to run the clock, but a timeout was called by most likely Columbia. So we'll join them in that, and when we come back, we'll see if the Raiders have any more stops up their sleeve here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back into what's been an exciting second half here from Wellington High School Stadium between the Brookside Junior Cardinals and Columbia Junior Raiders. Right now, Brookside operating with a 1-point lead as they'll roll out the, looks like a pass play. Beer looking downfield. He's going to let it go, and that's going to stop the clock for Columbia. And you got to question some of the late game time management in the situation here.
Yeah, and the play calls. I have no idea why they're passing with 14-13 lead and just a minute 33 left here in the fourth quarter. That makes zero sense to me. Columbia has already wasted 2 timeouts. They only have 1 left. So even with the game clock at 40 seconds, you only have to run a few more plays. Makes zero sense to me.
Well, so now we'll see them set up here 3rd and 9 deep into Columbia territory. And there was a bit of a unhappiness over by the coaches there, so may have been off-schedule play or a broken play. Now we'll see what they have here coming out of the huddle.
You don't want to force a turnover or even fumble it, so we'll see what happens here.
This time we'll see 2 running backs behind Beer. He gets the snap, and he'll delayed handoff as he had to wait a moment, and that's going to be DeRider breaking into the open field, and I believe that's going to be enough for a first down.
What a great sense of urgency and run by DeRider, being able to cut back in and out, zigzag pattern, able to get the first down.
And the timing of that play was certainly thrown off a bit as the handoff, I think, was supposed to happen directly behind him. He has to pitch it forward. And like you mentioned, there's great awareness to immediately get upfield and not even hesitate for a moment, as we're now under a minute 20 to go on a running clock here in the fourth. So just a few more play calls, or snaps of the ball, if you will, from Brookside, and they should get out of here with a 1-point comeback victory.
And if you're Brookside, you only got to run probably 1 or 2 more plays of a QB kneels.
And we'll see if that's what Beard chooses to do. Looks like he is awaiting the officials to see how much time is left on the play clock before snapping it. And he'll immediately drop to 1 knee. And there is 40 seconds to go now, so they may need to run 1 more play for the sake of the play clock. And they can do that whenever, and that will effectively run out the remainder of this fourth quarter. So now set up, and 1 more kneel down, and that will give Brookside a 14-13 win here in the first of our doubleheader of Junior LC8 football this afternoon. What a fantastic game these kids provided. I mean, laying it all out on the line there, especially in the second half by the Brookside Cardinals.
And comeback effort as well. It was exciting down to the wire. And really, at the end of the day, was a 55-yard touchdown pass to Santos that sealed the deal. And great job by Columbia as well, obviously, with Derek Friscone getting a few touchdowns as well. And these 2 teams are to be a force to be reckoned with down the stretch and in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're certainly close to playing almost, if not their best football here, and it's at a very important time on the season. And next up, we will have another pair of teams looking to do the same, as Black River will take on hosting Wellington. So we will end this stream here, but do not fear, we will be back with a follow-up one, so just keep an eye out on the Lorain County Sports Network YouTube channel for that. But your final here in our first game, it'll be Columbia